then you made a great point when we were talking before about, finding a way to get on tour. It's just understanding, like, what is it? Making friends with, simple as that.
Right. As an artist or a manager, a manager, in addition to running the team, has to build the team, and building the team could just be tapping into friends. But as Robbie was alluding to, as an artist or as a manager of an artist, the artist is the best salesperson for getting that opening slot. Hanging out at festivals, talking to artists, finding a way to be friends with them or get them to hear your music, because I can pitch a band for an opening slot 10 times, and the artist, inevitably I will hear, the artist chose a friend. It happens every...
Yeah, especially that has to come from the artist, too. Like, it's kind of a lot of times hokey if we're going around going, hey, meet my band every 5 minutes, So it's really important for you guys to take that on.
It's like an uncomfortable blind date.
Yeah, a lot of those artists are like, yeah, who's this douche coming around? It's like, it's just not a comfortable situation. So
yeah, the bro tour is always, I think most bands get better tours from broing out with other bands than they do their agent, at least on those early stages. And I tell all my bands, get out in your town and hang out, go to the band shows that you admire and hang out afterwards. Have a beer with them, stalk them in a sense, but approach them artist to artist, and most people are going to dig it if you have something of value as well.
And if you want to get to a bigger band, the festivals that come through town, find a way to get backstage, find a way to talk to them.
I'll tell you a band that did that Robbie manages, that's a really good success story that's not talked about a lot, is Jimmy Eat World. I remember when they were on Capitol, when no one cared. I worked 2 records. I cared, but no one else did. And they were on every split 7-inch you can imagine, going out with all these different bands in the emo world, and now it's paid off. And look at them, they have a career, and that's a big reason that they're as big as they are.
Want to shift a little bit to talk about labels and.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah.
You were talking about the shift in labels before and how they're getting smaller, and it seems like a lot of management companies are getting bigger.
That's the fallacy.
They are, but not at the same size. The labels are cutting thousands. The managers are adding 1 person.
Maybe not bigger, but it seems like there's like a couple. It almost seems like there's like a couple big management companies that are taking on more clients and doing more,
offering more services,
and offering more services. What's the difference as a band between looking at a company like that or maybe someone like Steve, who's kind of more independent and who's almost boutique? How does that?
Again, because just understand the management model. It's 10% model, right? Am I incorrect? 10%, 15%,
15, 17.5,
yeah, right.
20.
But it's a percentage, right? It's only gonna. It's a management company can only grow so much, right? And again, I find very few. There's still very few management companies that have somebody like me in house, right? But they're out there figuring out what they will do is they will hire a company like Kristen's, right? They'll go to the label and say, you can't do it correctly, so we need to bring somebody that can, right? Or they'll say, your promotion team sucks. The people that call radio, they're awful. We don't want to deal with them. But again, and I get back to it, is the management has to at least understand that that's possible, right? So you have to understand, and again, even if you're dealing with a small label or putting out the record yourself, you have to understand, it seems somewhat cumbersome and to say, God, where do I start and what do I do? But Wayne just made mention of it. There is so much excitement for music, right? It's like more so than ever, and there's less gatekeepers. So understanding that mentality, and that if you have somebody that's going to work for you, and they don't have to be at some big management company, but just understand, wow, I can call all these different aspects of the business, and I don't have to rely on anybody, so I can get my band started, so I can get my artist started, so I can get started, right? To understand that, and by the way, that, as Kristen said, it never ends. It should never end. For whatever reason, labels have allowed an entry point for bands, and I'll say it again, to take ownership, right? Take advantage of it. It used to be labels were so in control of what happened, and now artists and managers can take that control back.
The large management companies you refer to, you may not know the name. This guy's name is Irving Azoff. He's got 20 or 30 different companies. who each manage 5 or 6 bands, but they're a bit of a factory. They want to know that you're making money so everybody can make their cut. Yes, there are exceptions like that. Big cut. That's the top. That's
He's
the
a short
pinnacle.
guy that's way up
But
there.
for somebody like us,
I'm
for
not
somebody like
kidding.
Everloving, we have, a couple of people and a couple of bands, and again, it's for every 1,000 people that are leaving the record business, managers are adding single digits. Everybody is doing more. There used to be, every step of the way, everybody had an assistant. There were 6, 7 people working on a project. Now it's a dedicated team of 2 or 3.
I'm still hoping to hire my first person.
Steve and I actually were joking about this. We're ex-promo guys, right? And there's very few things harder in the business than getting a song on radio, right? It's really tough. And it's the ultimate macro marketing via micro marketing, right? You don't have a radio store like, hey, I have a #1 record. You do it by getting all these stations to agree, on putting a record on, and they all have their own little thing going on. It's like you're talking about 70, 80, 90 stations with a program director, a music director. You're competing against, 10 slot, 2 slots. You're 10 or 15 things are going for that slot every week. It's brutal. So what you learn as a promo guy is you never put down the phone. You never stop. You never give up. And that's what your manager should, if you have that, if somebody's going to do that for you, it's like, what's that? I think when you're in a restaurant, when somebody would say, you're a busboy or whatever, what are you bored? I can have some windows or some, stuff for you to clean, right? It should never get to that point. There's so much to do.
Yeah.
There's so much to do. And if your friend, what did you call him?
Fanager.
Fanager, love that. Love that. If your fanager is hey, you'd be like, hey, what'd you do today? What'd you do for me? You shouldn't be afraid to ask that. Did you do, and they shouldn't say, well, I did this, and this. That continues to go on with our clients from Beastie Boys to Foo Fighters. Hey, John, what's going on? What's happening? I heard about this. Have you found out, whatever it is, whatever aspect. But that person should never stop typing, calling all the time.
And also think of other ways for your artist to be diverse too. I manage Ed Harcourt, and I got him scoring films. He writes so many songs, so instead of having all these songs that he wrote and never release them, why don't I try to, put his energy into writing an original song for a commercial if that's something he wants to do, or score a film, or maybe there's an original song for a movie that someone's looking for, or let's just release a free song and try to get people to care more about him to buy his record. Always trying to think of other things and other avenues for revenue streams for your artist too, and that's going to be a revenue stream for you in the long run.